welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and this week we are doing debut novels. I went back in time for some of my favorite books, and Jill picked some newer stuff. So, Jill, what's your first pick?
So the reason I like debut novels is because I feel like the author doesn't have a contract yet most of the time, and they write the story because they feel like it needs to be told, and I like the purity of that. So my first one, this is Mame, in case you're wondering how to say that. It has many meanings in Twi, and in this case, it means woman. It is fair to say that Maddie's life in London is far from rewarding. With a mother who spends most of her time in China, yet still somehow manages to be overbearing, Maddie hits the primary caretaker for the father, who suffers from advanced stage Parkinson's. At work, her boss is a nightmare, and Maddie is tired of always being the only black person at every meeting. When her mom returns from her latest trip to Ghana, Maddie leaps at the chance to get out of the family home and finally start living. A self-acknowledged late bloomer, she's ready to experience some important first. She finds a flat share, says yes to after-work drinks, pushes for more recognition in her career, and throws herself in the bewildering world of the internet dating. But it's not long before tragedy strikes, forcing Maddie to face the true nature of her unconventional family and the perils and rewards of putting her heart on the line. So, Mame by Jessica George. You can't see Jessica, but...
My first pick is one of my favorite books. I found this book very powerful and moving. One of those books that kind of stays with you long after you read it. And it's Khaled Hosseini's The Kite Runner, and this was published back in 2003. 1970s Afghanistan, 12-year-old Amir is desperate to win the local kite fighting tournament, and his loyal friend Hassan promises to help him. But neither of the boys can foresee what would happen to Hassan that afternoon, an event that shatters their lives. After the Russians invade and the family's forced to flee to America, Amir realizes that one day he must return to an Afghanistan under Taliban rule to find the one thing that his new world cannot grant him. This is the unforgettable, heartbreaking story of the unlikely friendship between a wealthy boy and the son of his father's servant, caught in the tragic sweep of history. It's a powerful story of friendship, but it's also about the power of reading, the price of betrayal, and the possibility of redemption, and an exploration of the power of fathers over sons, their loves, their sacrifices, and their lies. This book was turned into a great movie, and it's also a Broadway musical, which I have my fingers crossed that someday it comes to our Fox Cities Performing Arts Center. I think that would be amazing. So, The Kite Runner.
That's an amazing book. That's a good choice. I feel like that's must reading for her.
Yeah, I do too. Tim read that one too, my husband, and loved that one too.
So my next one is also out in 2023. This is Clarine by Jade Song. This is a debut novel that blurs the line between literary coming-of-age narrative and a dark, unsettling horror tale.
Ooh.
In the pool. Told from an adult perspective on the trials and tribulations of growing up in a society that puts pressure on young women and their bodies. A powerful, relevant novel of immigration, sapphic longing, and fierce, defiant becoming. Ren Yu is a swimmer. Her daily life starts and ends with the pool. Her teammates are her only friends. Her coach, her guiding light, is if she swims well enough, she will be scouted, get a scholarship, go to a good school. Her parents will love her. Her coach will be kind to her. She will have a good life. But these are human concerns. These are the concerns of those confined to land, those with legs. Ren grew up on stories of creatures of the deep, of the oceans and the rivers, ones that call sailors to their doom, ones that dragged them down and drowned them. Ones that feasted on their flesh. One's the creature she's always longed to become. A mermaid. Ren aches to be in the water. She dreams of the scent of chlorine, the feel of it on her skin, and she will do anything she can to make a life for herself where she can be free, no matter the pain, no matter what anyone thinks, no matter how much blood she has to spill. So,
oh my.
Coming of age for a mermaid. That's totally different.
Chlorine. My second pick, also one of my favorite books, The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger, and this was published back in 2003. It's the extraordinary love story of Claire and Henry, who met when Claire was 6 and Henry was 36, and were married when Claire was 22 and Henry was 30. Sound impossible? But true, because Henry suffers from a rare condition where his genetic clock periodically resets, and he finds himself pulled suddenly into the past or the future. In the face of this force they can neither prevent nor control, Henry and Claire's struggle to lead normal lives is both intensely moving and entirely unforgettable. This also became a great movie, and it was an HBO series, which I caught, but loved the book, The Time Traveler's Wife.
That's like my favorite book. I saw her speak in Madison.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh.
So this one actually won the Goodreads Choice Award for Best Debut Novel for 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Wayward,
Wayward.
by Amelia Hart. 2019, under the cover of darkness, Kate flees London for ramshackle Wayward Cottage, inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers. With its tumbling ivy and overgrown garden, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate. But she begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. 1619. Altha is waiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stampeded to death by his herd. As a girl, Altha's mother taught her their magic, a kind not rooted in spellcasting but in deep knowledge of the natural world. But unusual women have always been deemed dangerous, and as the evidence for witchcraft is set against Altha, she knows it will take all her powers to maintain her freedom. 1942. As World War II rages, Violet is trapped in her family's grand crumbling estate. Straitjacketed by societal convention, she longs for the robust education her brother receives, and for her mother, long deceased, who is rumored to have gone mad before her death. The only traces Violet has of her are a locket bearing the initial W and the word Wayward scratched in the baseboard of her bedroom. Weaving together the stories of three extraordinary women across 5 centuries, Amelia Hart's Wayward is an enthralling novel of female resilience and the transformative power of the natural world. So, Wayward.
That's on my list of books to read. My next pick is The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield, and this was published in 2006. All children mythologize their birth. So begins the prologue of reclusive author Vida Winter's collection of stories, which are as famous for the mystery of the missing 13th tale as they are for the delight and enchantment of the 12 that do exist. The enigmatic Winter has spent 6 decades creating various outlandish life histories for herself, all of them inventions that have brought her fame and fortune, but have kept her violent and tragic past a secret. Now she's old and ailing, and she at last wants to tell the truth about her extraordinary life. She summons biographer Margaret, a young woman for whom the secret of her own birth, hidden by those who loved her most, remains an ever-present pain. Struck by a curious parallel between Miss Winter's story and her own, Margaret takes on the commission. As Vida disenters the life she was meant to bury for good, Margaret is mesmerized. It's a tale of Gothic strangeness. Margaret succumbs to the power of Vida's storytelling, but remains suspicious of the author's sincerity. She demands the truth, and together they confront the ghosts that have haunted them while becoming finally transformed by the truth themselves. It's a love letter to reading, a book for the readers and all of us, a return to that rich vein of storytelling that our parents loved and that we loved as kids. She'll keep you guessing, make you wonder, move you to tears and laughter, and in the end deposit you breathless yet satisfied upon the shore of your everyday life. Mm-hmm. So just reading the write-ups for this book, I was like, this sounds very intriguing. Yeah. Not one I've read, but I think I should.
I like the cover too with the books.
Me too, The 13th Tale.
So my next one, also 2023 release. This is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. 4-year-old Micmac girl goes missing in the blueberry fields of Maine, sparking a tragic mystery that haunts the survivors, unravels a community, and remains unsolved for nearly 50 years. July 1962, a Micmac family from Nova Scotia arrives in Maine to pick blueberries for the summer. Weeks later, 4-year-old Ruthie, the family's youngest child, vanishes. She is last seen by her 6-year-old brother Joe sitting on a favorite rock by the edge of the berry field. Joe will remain distraught by his sister's disappearance for years to come. Poor kid. In Maine, the young girl named Norma grows up as an only child of an affluent family. Her father is emotionally distant, her mother frustratingly overproductive. Norma is often troubled by recurring dreams and visions that seem more like memories than imagination. As she grows older, Norma slowly comes to realize there is something her parents aren't telling her. Unwilling to abandon her intuition, she will spend decades trying to uncover the family's secret. For readers of The Vanishing Half and The Woman of Light, this show-stopping debut by a vibrant new voice in fiction is a riveting novel about the search for truth, the shadow of trauma, and the persistence of love over time. Berry Pickers.
It's been a popular one coming through for the holds. My next pick is actually a more recent book, and I know we've done this before on Friday Reads, but it's Ashley Audrain's The Push, published in 2021. It's a tense, page-turning psychological drama about the making and breaking of a family, and a woman whose experience of motherhood is nothing at all what she hoped for and everything she feared. Blythe Connor is determined that she will be the warm, comforting mother to her new baby Violet that she herself never had. But in the thick of motherhood's exhausting early days, Blythe becomes convinced that something's wrong with her daughter. She doesn't behave like most children do. Or is it all in Blythe's head? Her husband Fox says she's imagining things. The more Fox dismisses her fears, the more Blythe begins to question her own sanity. And the more we begin to question what Blythe is telling us about her life as well. Then their son Sam is born, and with him, Blythe has a blissful connection she'd always imagined with her child. Even Violet seems to love her little brother. But when life, as they know it, is changed in an instant, the devastating fallout forces Blythe to face the truth. This was described as a tour de force. You will read in a sitting an utterly immersive novel that will challenge everything you think you know about motherhood, about what we owe our children, and what it feels like when women are not believed. So it's high on my list of books to read. The Push.
I read that one, and it is intense. It's so good. So my last one, it's reminded me of the octopus book that we talked about a few weeks ago. But this is a debut in 2023 called Sea Change by Gina Chung. It's a novel about a woman tossed overboard by heartbreak and loss who has to find her way back to stable shores with the help of a giant Pacific octopus. Ro is stuck. She's just entered her 30s. She's estranged from her mother, and her boyfriend has just left her to join a mission to Mars. Her days are spent dragging herself to her menial job at the mall aquarium, and her nights are spent drinking shark teenies, Mountain Dew, and copious amounts of gin, plus a hint of jalapeno, with her best friend pulling away to focus on an upcoming wedding. Ro's only companion is Dolores, a giant Pacific octopus who also happens to be Ro's last remaining link to her father, a marine biologist who disappeared while on an expedition when Ro was a teenager. When Dolores is sold to a wealthy investor intent on moving her to a private aquarium, Ro finds herself on the precipice of self-destruction. Wading through memories of her youth, Ro has one last chance to come to terms with her childhood trauma, recommit to those around her, and find a place in an ever-changing world. Sea Change by Gina Chung.
I'm ending with another one of my favorite books. Another one going back in time. This was from 2009, and this is The Help by Catherine Stockett. 3 ordinary women are about to take one extraordinary step. 22-year-old Skeeter has just returned home after graduating from Ole Miss. She may have a degree, but it's 1962 Mississippi, and her mother will not be happy till Skeeter has a ring on her finger. Skeeter would normally find solace within her beloved maid, Constantine, the woman who raised her, but Constantine has disappeared and no one will tell Skeeter where she's gone. Abilene is a black maid, a wise, regal woman raising her 17th white child. Something has shifted inside her after the loss of her own son, who died while his bosses looked the other way. She's devoted to the little girl she looks after, though she knows both their hearts may be broken. And then there's Minnie, Abilene's best friend. She's a short, fat, and perhaps the sassiest woman in Mississippi. She can cook like nobody's business, but she can't mind her tongue, so she's lost yet another job. Minnie finally finds a position working for someone too new to town to know her reputation. But her new boss has secrets of her own. Seemingly as different from one another as can be, these 3 women will nonetheless come together for a project that will put them all at risk. And why? Because they are suffocating within the lines that define their town and their times. And sometimes lines are made to be crossed. So, again, one of my favorite books.
Very awesome. Great choice. Well, we hope we helped you find something to read and with these great debut novels.
Yeah, Jill's got some new authors to discover, so hopefully one of those sounded exciting for you. Find our videos on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel. Jill links them from our Kimberly Public Library website. Love to hear what you're reading, especially on these cold days. A lot of people have been coming in for books and telling us it's a good day to read, so let us know what you're reading. And until next time, thanks for watching.
Bye.